Off the eastern coast of Africa lies a land of evolutionary marvels, an island continent where nature ran wild for millennia. But the story of its first human inhabitants is not a short walk from the mainland. It is one of the most daring and counterintuitive voyages in human history. To settle the island of Madagascar, a small group of pioneers did not come from Africa, a mere 250 miles away. Instead, they sailed for 1,000 miles from the island of Borneo against the prevailing winds and currents in nothing more than outrigger canoes. How did they do it, and why? Join us as we embark on this impossible voyage. Our story begins on the island of Madagascar itself, but long before any human footprint marked its soil. After breaking away from the supercontinent Gondwana, Madagascar became a world unto itself, an evolutionary laboratory where life took a unique and spectacular path. This was a land of giants. Herds of pygmy hippos roamed the forests. Strange horned crocodiles lurked in the rivers, and the skies were ruled by massive eagles. Most famously, it was the home of the elephant birds, flightless giants standing 3 meters tall, and a dazzling diversity of lemurs, some as large as modern apes. For tens of thousands of years, as modern humans spread out of Africa, populated Asia, Europe, and crossed into the Americas, Madagascar remained an island of ghosts. It was one of the very last major habitable landmasses on Earth to remain untouched by humanity. A silent paradise just a few hundred miles from the continent where our species was born. To find Madagascar's pioneers, we must travel for 1,000 miles east to the islands of Southeast Asia, the cradle of the Austronesian peoples, from their origins in Taiwan. These remarkable seafarers embarked on one of the greatest migrations in human history, spreading eastwards across the vast, empty expanse of the Pacific Ocean. Their key technology was the outrigger canoe, a swift, stable, and versatile vessel that allowed them to navigate treacherous coastal waters and open oceans alike. This, combined with an unparalleled knowledge of stars, winds, and currents, made them the masters of the sea. The great narrative of the Austronesians is one of eastward expansion, a phenomenal push into the Pacific that settled islands from Hawaii to Easter Island. The settlement of Madagascar is therefore a profound anomaly. It is the only known large-scale, prehistoric Austronesian migration that went west. The journey from Borneo to Madagascar was not a simple drift. For most of the year, both the winds and the ocean currents in the Indian Ocean flow from west to east, directly against anyone attempting this voyage. Sailing for 1,000 miles against the grain would have been a monumental, perhaps impossible, feat of endurance. So how did they do it? One theory suggests they exploited a brief reversal of the winds during the winter monsoon. Another proposes they slingshotted their way along the coastlines of Sumatra, India, and Arabia. Or perhaps they were simply some of the greatest navigators the world has ever known, capable of making progress even in the most adverse conditions. The why is as mysterious as the how. Were they traders blown off course? a deliberate expedition seeking new lands, or perhaps a group of political refugees. Fleeing conflict in the increasingly complex societies of Borneo, genetic evidence suggests the founding population may have been incredibly small, perhaps only a few dozen individuals. Whatever their reasons, and however they accomplished it, this small group of pioneers achieved the impossible. They crossed an ocean and arrived on a new continent, a primeval world that had never known the human touch, and would be forever changed by their arrival. If this incredible story of human endurance has captured your imagination, I invite you to consider subscribing to the Dusty Codex. Your support is what makes these deep dives into forgotten history possible. Before we witness their landfall, I'm curious, which theory for the voyage do you find more compelling? A deliberate expedition of master navigators, or a small group of traders or refugees blown off course? Let me know in the quiet comments section below. Around 500 AD, after a journey of unimaginable length and hardship, the first humans stepped ashore on Madagascar. They found a world both bountiful and bizarre. It was a land without competitors and without predators, but also one where the plants and animals were entirely alien to them. They brought with them the staples of their Austronesian life: chickens, pigs, and crucial crops like taro, yams, bananas, and, most importantly, rice. They began to transform the landscape, clearing forests for their rice paddies and adapting their culture to this new, strange paradise. The arrival of humans spelled doom for Madagascar's unique megafauna. Having evolved for millions of years without significant predators, these giant lemurs, pygmy hippos, and elephant birds were likely easy prey for the new rivals. Within a few centuries of human rival, all of Madagascar's large animals were extinct. A tragic but common story of human expansion into new ecosystems. The island of ghosts had found its people, but lost its primeval giants. Centuries after the Austronesians arrived, a second, equally important wave of migration began. This time from a place one might expect: mainland Africa, Bantu-speaking peoples, likely from the east. African coast, began crossing the Mozambique Channel and settling on the island. They brought with them their own agricultural knowledge. Their pastoral traditions centered on the humped zebu cattle, and their own distinct languages and cultural practices, adding another rich layer to the island's human story. Over time, these two groups, one from the far side of the ocean, the other from just across the channel, intermingled, intermarried, and fused. This created the unique Malagasy people of today, a population whose genetics are a near-equal blend of Southeast Asian and African ancestry. The Malagasy language remains fundamentally Austronesian, a living testament to that first impossible voyage. Yet, the culture, the spirituality, the music, and the people themselves are a rich and beautiful tapestry woven from threads of both Asia and Africa, a living legacy of one of the most extraordinary migration stories in human history.